It finally happened, and the fallout is what you would expect. In case you don't know, TheGamer.com has officially been gutted the same way Polygon and many other websites have as well recently too. But this fallout has become more of a surefire sign that the way games and the people who play and consume media made on these continues to change and then some, but let's get into it. So like I said, TheGamer, a website I've frequently clashed with on this channel because their takes are almost always anti-gamer. Ironic, I know, given the name of the website, has been slaughtered by their parent company Valnet. This was confirmed by Video Games Chronicle, as seen here, where they confirmed that the news that TheGamer has indeed been hit with mass layoffs. The exact word used by VGC is, as also seen here, that TheGamer has been decimated by these layoffs according to the people that they spoke to. TheGamer is not being shut down, but it is being operated in a similar fashion to how Polygon is still operating today too, which was also decimated by layoffs earlier this year in case you don't know. Anyways, Jade King, that's one of the more outspoken members of TheGamer, is still there apparently, as also seen here. They confirm that they are still working at the website, but their entire team beneath them is basically laid off and gone now. Now, normally, I would not ever wish layoffs on really anyone because I know the job market is hard out there, but when it comes to specifically to gaming journalists and what they do for a living, I'm not exactly going to celebrate this as a win, but I will say that I'm not really surprised by the outcome either way. This is the same website that has very confidently pushed back against the players and what they wanted from games in the future for years now. Like I said, I've been clashing with TheGamer and dissecting and challenging their ways of thinking for years now. Like, look at this article titled, "Stop Using Mods to Make Female Characters Prettier." I remember reacting to this one actually, and it was full of stupid takes. But this isn't even the most egregious stuff that TheGamer has done. After all, they had infamous articles like this one. "I'm personally going to force game companies to put in all the stuff you hate," and of course with an image of Yasuke and Naoe from Shadows even then. A game that was met with a lot of backlash because Yasuke was not only terrible, but Ubisoft ruined that game by pushing all sorts of DEI slop in it too. Like making Yasuke's canon love interest the literal mother of Japan of all people, and if you enjoy the content, please like the video, subscribe and all that, thank you, but this is what I mean. That these websites like the Polygons and TheGamer and more, they have not really spoken for the players for a very long time. I would even suggest that IGN fails more often than not to also not really connect with what people want either. The truth is that gaming journalism in general has been nothing but slop for years now. I think we can all agree on that one. I used to actually be a big fan of IGN's. And no, I'm not kidding. When I finished high school, I actually wanted to be a games journalist. That is so cringe to admit, but it was true. I wanted to interview the developers and go to the events and review the games myself. Oh wow, I would watch stuff like Podcast Beyond, or what was that other show they had? Game Scoop, that's what it was. I used to watch that one too. Honestly, now though, I just cringe thinking that at some point in my life I actually cared what any of these people on these podcasts had to think about games these days. Like, imagine actually caring what Greg Miller, or what's that other guy's name, the bald one on the other thing, Brian something, what was his name? I can't imagine caring what any of these people have to say about anything anymore because they're just all birds of the same feather and they just hate YouTubers. I mean, they hate the players too, unless you agree with them 100% on literally everything. Brian Altano, that's his name. That guy blocked me on Twitter, by the way, which was funny, but that kind of proves my point, really. Here, I actually checked his profile while I was making this video. His tweets are now protected, apparently, but I'm like 99% sure he also blocked me in the past, which really doesn't surprise me. I guess they just don't like this. How else do I put it? But they don't like the new wave of media that is coming in to really take their spots, really. People like Asmongold, me, or others, I guess. I mean, there's channels that do what these people do as well these days. And the truth is that the whole corporate gobbledygook nonsense that usually constrains and controls these people from saying what they really think has just caused this new age media to just boom instead, which they are not happy about at all. People want to hear their voices in games or movies or entertainment in general that are, not usually tied down by corporate red tape whenever they try to say something these days. The truth is that there really isn't any gaming news website that isn't to some degree tied to these tape these days. Well, Well, there is one, but I'll get into that one later on. But every gaming website is pretty much being sponsored by some game or publisher at any given time, which means they usually can't talk bad about these games or give their honest opinions. It's not even like this is some new thing either. Maybe you remember, but maybe you don't. But well over 10 years ago, more like 13 even, God, it's been forever. But there was a guy named Jeff Gertzman. He once worked at GameSpot. That's this guy on screen here. So a little lore for you, but Jeff was a reviewer of games at GameSpot, and at one point, he was tasked with reviewing Kane and Lynch for the website. So he did it. He reviewed the game objectively and gave the game a, well, not good score, let's just say, and that was his opinion, all right? That's just what it was. The problem, however, was that GameSpot at that time was also having their entire website promoted and paid for via ads by Kane and Lynch's publisher. Here's an actual screenshot of GameSpot's website during that time. As you can see, the review is dead center on the website, and you have the characters of that game on each side of the website, so money was clearly being spent just promoting this game on GameSpot's website. Yet, Jeff Gertzman reviewed the game, like I said, poorly, and then the publisher of Kane and Lynch got really mad about it, because they spent a lot of money promoting the game and paying GameSpot for exclusive ad placement. So it was a big controversy at the time, and it was like a rock in a hard place. And what did GameSpot do? Well, as seen here from Kotaku in 2012, GameSpot actually just fired Jeff Gertzman over the controversy when he was just, doing his job by reviewing this game that he was assigned to do. So GameSpot, instead of losing out on their ad placements and the bad guy guess from Kane and Lynch, they just got rid of Jeff instead. It was truly a moment for me as someone who at this time was a devout watcher of games media, where my belief and trust in the system, honestly, it became fractured. How could a website throw a game reviewer to the side like this over their objective review? Why didn't they protect him? Why wasn't his opinion suddenly allowed to exist? They really did choose money over that of their colleagues' well-being, and yeah, they did. And ever since then, frankly, I've never given GameSpot much of any of my views, my money, or time ever again. I lost genuinely all my trust with them as a publication, because after all that happened, and I still remember that story clearly, even to this day, obviously, it was one of those original stories that for me, as someone who wouldn't cover games for at least 10 years and then some into the future, I just realized in that moment that, wait a second, is gaming journalism just this corrupted actually? Like, I'll also never forget when GameSpot ran an article on Far Cry 5 as seen here, where they claimed that the game made them feel like an outsider because the game was full of cult-like white people, I guess. But weirdly enough, this article says that it was posted in 2020, but it wasn't actually. It was originally posted in 2018, so why was it saying 2020 then? Well, to my amazement, they actually reposted their own article 2 years later to Virtue Signal, and no, I'm not even kidding or lying, because in their own article, they address this near the top where it says this article, originally posted on March 5th, 2018, has been republished to amplify Black voices in GameSpot's support of Black Lives Matter. Oh boy, donate to the effort to fight systematic racism here. Oh yeah, that's real, by the way. That is in the article. Well, it is anyways as of this video being made, I guess, unless they change it, but good lord, is that cringe to read, especially since we're now 5 years removed from that, and given how we know how corrupted Black Lives Matter actually ended up being. But this is the gaming news media, guys. This is how GameSpot, this is how TheGamer, this is IGN, this is frankly all of them and more. I already know these companies hate me anyways, and to think at one point in my life that I wanted to stand alongside them is genuinely crazy. But let's be honest, in retrospect, can you guys even imagine me, of all people, like working at IGN or GameSpot? Me with my takes and beliefs somehow maneuvering the corporate landscape of these companies? I would have been fired instantly, dude. Because I quickly found out after covering games myself that these people just hate someone like me for a lot of reasons. One is, of course, they conveniently call me a grifter, but in actuality, I'm just trying to keep the news media honest, which is actually hard to do because they just spread misinformation like crazy, dude. But I guess it's easier to just call someone like me a grifter instead of challenging the fact that a lot of these sorts of people are frankly just tied to the monolith of the corporations that they were originally tasked with keeping honest in the first place. Because the truth is this, places like TheGamer and more, they were meant to be the medium between the player and the companies. But they, like many others, just became the lapdogs of the companies that they were supposed to keep honest in the first place. Even GameDeveloper.com, like they had articles in 2014 titled like this, "Gamers don't have to be your audience, gamers are over." That's from 11 years ago. And are they over GameDeveloper.com? Are they? I mean, like, again, it's been over 11 years since this article, and the only thing over seems to be the jobs of the people that are covering games, and that's pretty much it. Like, here's TheGamer.com attacking players and claiming why Gamergate is toxic is also seen here. Yeah, another real article that they made and thought was a good idea to post. Here's another infamous gamer article where they said if you use the Cybertruck in Fortnite that you deserve to be bullied. Interesting. I thought bullying was really mean and totally not okay to do. It's actually justifiable actually. As long as it's against people you don't like politically. Well, alright then, good to know. And shout out to the master of the TDS over there at Gothic Therapy, because in this post here where they compiled a bunch of articles the gamer has made that kind of proves why what happened, happened. Like, let me read you some of these titles, dude. Sora doesn't understand love in Kingdom Hearts, and it might be because of compulsory heterosexuality. Or this one, unpacking the queerness of Final Fantasy 13. People are mad that Dragon's Dogma 2 thinks they're gay. Like, who are these articles for? And tell me you're not a real Final Fantasy fan without telling me, because who writes Final Fantasy 13 with the actual number and not the Roman numeral instead? Like, it just keeps going. Look at these articles. Look at these titles, dude. Let me read more for you. Put Aloy's queerness front and center in the next Horizon game. Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores review bombed because of queer romance. So it didn't do well. You guys wrote that yourself, by the way. It didn't do well due to the queer romance, and you guys even used the same thumbnail twice. Like, that's crazy. And this one too. Can we be normal about Aloy's queerness, please? I mean, can you become normal about not talking about her queerness 24/7 in multiple articles maybe? And instead focus on what the game has, like its systems and stuff, instead of just the representation 24/7? But asking the gamer to not talk about much representation over, say, game mechanics or things people actually care about, that's like asking a fish not to swim. Like, it's impossible. It keeps going. Like, let's just read more of these article titles like this one. Yes, I reinstalled Horizon Forbidden West because Aloy is gay now. Colombian government sort of apologizes for hoping Luigi is gay. Queerness is everywhere in Spider-Man 2. Yeah, that's why it sold 50% less in Spider-Man 2018, but you guys don't mention that in the article now, do ya? But this one is also great. Why Mortal Kombat Sindel is a queer icon. Ah yes, Sindel, the woman in a heterosexual relationship with a man who has kids, the queer icon herself, definitely. Like, you gotta give them credit though. Nobody with a normal rational mind that hasn't been completely altered and ruined by SSRIs could come up with articles like these so frequently. And the funny part is that the gamers' articles, they aren't even really unique. Like, you can find stuff like this everywhere on other media websites. We love this character because they're gay, but we hate these characters because the chuds like them, I guess. I mean, I really love this article title at the bottom here that's titled, Last of Us star Bella Ramsey says her gay army protects her from trolls. Yeah, but too bad that her gay army couldn't, make up for the loss over 50% of the audience between seasons, but hey, I guess views don't matter when the message is all that really does. I also love this dual Life is Strange title here that reads, yeah, we think Life is Strange is gay, and then Square Enix, a little publisher, is like, oh man, we didn't want our game to be seen as gay. Like, you couldn't write better headlines to own your cause if you tried, dude. I mean, at this point, I really wouldn't be surprised if media sites just sort of funnel these titles and articles into like an AI slop fiend in some basement, and then it just churns out article after article ad nauseum for the rest of time, really, and like no one has to actually write them themselves. But thankfully, and I said I was going to mention at least one website that is for the players, the people over at Geeks and Gamers have teamed up with that Park Place recently to combine their efforts on gaming news to challenge places like GameSpot, IGN, and more. So if you want actual coverage on games that isn't just full of slop nonsense, everything is this flag or whatnot, please go check out that website. But here's one of their articles covering this mass layoff that is titled, The Gamer Decimated by Mass Layoffs, Progressive Gaming Outlet Collapses as Valnet Makes Sweeping Cuts. So in Geeks and Gamers article, they say it straight up that the gamer failed because it talked down to their readership. They alienated the core audience and tried to replace them all with just rainbow flag apologists aplenty. Wow, gee, that sounds familiar, almost like every other gaming news website pretty much these days too. But as Geeks and Gamers says here, readers have had enough. The broader gaming community is tired of ideological lectures disguised as reviews and features. They want analysis, creativity, and fun, not guilt trips about who they are or what car their favorite game skin resembles. Yeah, that's all they want. I mean, it could be so easy, but they also continued with this. These, the gamer layoffs, are also part of a bigger picture, the ongoing gaming culture war that's been reshaping the entire industry. Once upon a time, sites like TheGamer, Kotaku, and Polygon positioned themselves as moral arbiters of gaming culture. They scolded audiences for liking the wrong things, mocked old school gamers, and elevated activism over artistry. Gee, that sounds like every single other gaming website pretty much ever in the past now also, doesn't it? But Geeks and Gamers says more as they continue. For many, these, the gamer layoffs, feel less like a random business move, and more like the natural consequence of deeper issues within games media. The outlet didn't just lose its audience overnight. It eroded trust through years of tone-deaf have coverage, ideological slant, and contempt for the very community it was supposed to serve. That doesn't make the human cost any less real. Behind every byline were editors, writers, and creators who worked hard to build their careers. Their livelihoods were erased in an instant, victims of both corporate restructuring and a wider cultural disconnect between gamers and the press. And in this case, I know for a fact that people who were let go at TheGamer were not just the crazy activists, if you will. It was also just people who were just tasked with keeping the website running, doing the background work, and didn't actually, hate everyone that just disagreed with them. But the sad reality is that much like in gaming companies where the actions of the managers and higher-ups usually just ruin the careers of the grunt workers, the same happens at these outlets too. Sure, some of the writers and whatnot, they also got laid off too, but I guarantee you that the majority of the people that got shed was not the actual crazy people that were steering this ship into the iceberg either way. Like I said before, Jade King is still there, who wrote some of the articles that I showed in this video. So how can websites like this even repair their self-image if the very people who ruined it are still working there? They can't, and that's the reality. There's really no point in supporting places like this, because if you do end up supporting them, it will just allow them to bring more crazy people into these same like-minded positions like before. And then they will just create a virtual phalanx, if you will, around their own ideas, and then they'll just spear anyone who tries to come close to them. Instead, the usual will happen, okay? It will be mass layoffs. And it's not because gamers are this or that. No, it's because the people tasked with connecting you, the player, with the content were just frankly far more interested in doing genuinely anything but that. But now they're paying for it. I guarantee you that the people who were activists that did get laid off, they're going to land their feet at other publications. We've seen this happen time and time before. They will continue to spread the propaganda that everything must be rainbow flags or bust, that we are all somehow bigots and evil people. But in reality, you're just normal. You just want coverage on games. You don't want some SSRI injected weirdo who can't reasonably tell you what a woman is because they fear that their own friends will tear them limb from limb if they answer that question with objective truth. Which is probably why I'm being attacked constantly all the time too, as well as other creators as well, by people like this and their bot account followers, who again are all likely just being controlled by some homunculus freak in a basement with servers shooting out we hate these people because they're ruining our business pretty much constantly. Like, ask yourselves objectively, why is it that when a game does have some diverse main character, who is usually a woman, let's be honest, and is probably queer or something too, and it doesn't end up doing well financially, that it's somehow the right-wing grifters' fault, as they say? Like, look at the world right now. There's a lot of different people out there, right? So then why aren't all these other people buying these games then that are apparently made for them? Where are all the people that bought the Unknown 9 Awakenings or the Dustborns if these games are apparently made for them and them alone? Why do these games continue to flop then, time and time again? Could it be that everyone who plays games are racist? Well, that can't be it. It can't be the usual scapegoat that every evil gamer is a white man who doesn't buy or play games either. Because there's not just white guys buying and playing games these days, right? So then what is it? Could it be that maybe the content that is being made, that is being pushed by these publications whose mission objective is to not fix the growing divide between the games and the players, are instead far more focused on just dividing you even more? I know some might say, well, players are more divided than ever, but I disagree actually. Think about it. Players are actually more united than ever before. Otherwise, we wouldn't be seeing the sweeping changes that we are seeing right now across the industry, and so quickly too. And that is a great thing. It really is. As they say, it is a total chud victory yet again. Look, all I want is for games to not be pushing slop and for the people to not be alienating their audiences, but maybe that's too much to ask for these days. And if it is too much to ask, well, then I guess what happens needs to continue to happen. Because even if the industry is shifting and things are changing, if these people will not admit that they are wrong and that them attacking the audience is not the right way to go, like, what do you expect to happen to you then? And while I don't necessarily celebrate the downfall of TheGamer, even though, let's be real, they would be doing the same with me if I was gone in a similar light, I will just simply say, I do hope that this is a hard lesson that they hopefully learn from, because their actions have had consequences. And it has affected more than just the people who are still there, but the people who had nothing to do with the nonsense, who were only there to keep the site up and running, keep the lights on. They were the ones that paid the price too. So it isn't fair to those people, and this will only embolden maybe TheGamer's remaining activists to just swing for the fences more. But when and if they do that, well, I will be here to swing back as well, I guess. But what do you guys think? Was this deserved? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Check out Geeks and Gamers' new website, by the way, link in the description box below, and have a good one.